Good morning, traders. Welcome to the London webinar. We are in the London session. This is our live trading room. You have access to it for the whole week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find it interesting. I hope you learned something new. If you do, please go to YouTube and leave your thing. If you're a YouTube viewer watching this after the fact, not the live session, and you like what we do, please leave a note, leave a comment so people can know. Click a like, share it. My most important thing is share it. I don't really care about the likes and the comments. I think the YouTube engine cares about it. So that is why I'm asking you to leave it so that it can help promote the video, right? I don't really care about that. To me, that's irrelevant. I'm more care about you sharing the videos because somebody will watch it and somebody will learn from it. There are important things. So that if you have watched the whole week, I would say you even go back and relook at some of these videos, especially the Monday New York session one. And all in between, we do have some very important points where I'll stop and I'll give you details that are very, very relevant. So let's start with that. Let's go. Where are all our traders again? I don't see our traders, all of them in. Anyway, we'll go with that. Let's start. So right now we're looking at the dollar index. And remember, I started the week by showing you the dollar index and the weekly. And I said there's a high probability that we're going to start to see a reversal very soon. Now, I don't know that this is the start of the reversal. We don't know that yet. I can tell you when it starts on the daily. I can confirm the daily reversal pattern when we have a daily correction to the downside. Here is a good example of a daily reversal pattern. You get a sharp impulse, you get a consolidation, and then you can be sure that this is going to drop and very likely break this low and then break the bigger low, right? That's a daily reversal pattern. Right now, we're in that impulse coming down. See this impulse here? We're in that impulse coming down. A daily impulse is actually a whole structure in a 60 minutes, which means you can trade it. It's tradable, right? So that is where I started the week, Monday. So go back from there now and let's go. You can go through stage by stage of what we did. What we did is we never bought it. We never bought anywhere at the top there. I tell you, if we're going to do any buying, it has to drop to the bottom here, go back up, make a flag, and then we buy. Yesterday, when this was going up, I warned you. If you remember, I said, do not jump into the trade. It can reverse. You want to wait for it to make a flag. You want to wait for this to consolidate here, give you a flag, and then you want for that to break out before you confirm breaking the top. If that doesn't happen, it can reverse. So that was my last word from yesterday. Do not jump. It was during the news. I said, do not jump into that moving thing, right? We took two trades that were in different patterns that were going in our direction, and both of them became break-even trades. We'll show you them as we go along. So this one went up. What happens there? Nothing serious. Two things you will look for. You really look for an expanding flat in this, which means you can go for the 15 and you would see, can we actually look at this as a possible expanding flat here? And I mean taking this one because I would look at this as a 1, 2, 3 flat by itself. So is this part of this move or is this part of an expanding flat? That is possible. I'm not looking at it as an expanding flat in that one because I think this is a perfect one. This drop here was perfect. It didn't go the distance you want. It reverses with a sharp move, but we have a lot of consolidation going down. This would have been your sell. You shouldn't sell this. I'm not going to go into details of that. We discussed that in our trading room this morning. There's a reason we don't sell this, but this you will sell. By rule, by our rules, you would sell that. That would be a sell setup. There are reasons for that. Now we sold it this morning as well. My traders sold it this morning. So they're in the trade, but they're aware that this is a very, very small move. This could be a very small move. Why you're aware of that? Because like I said, there are two options. Either this is an expanding flat or we're going to make a running flat in the future, which means this is going to drop, come back here really sharp. Again, you're not going to jump into any buy here. Make a running flat. This is going to be your first impulse down. This is going to be the running flat, and then you're going to drop. So if that happens, we have one more impulse to the downside, at least one more. But that could be the start of the big downside. We don't know that, right? In this case, if you're taking this trade, you have to be very cautious. This is an aggressive trade. You'll see we have it as waiting for a flag, which means I want more consolidation. But we also took it on some pairs. We took it on the yen and we took it on a few of them because we know that this could drop, right? It could drop, and then you get this sharp wave back somewhere in the future. Maybe next week, somewhere we get a sharp pullback and then a drop again, right? So what? This is a trade we looked at this morning. We took off all of these trades, but I'll go through them. I'll go through all the majors for you because it's Friday and you want to understand more, learning more than the trades we took, and then we'll go. So silver, remember silver, we had a sell in silver. If you remember, we had a sell in the silver in this one here, right? We actually sold it at some point here earlier. We closed the trade because of the news, and then we sold it here, right? That goes there, pull back, that's a close. That's a break-even trade. We're going to go into the details the next time. Again, I think silver is going to make a running flat because this is sharp and we have nothing to go with that. So I'm looking for this to go up there. We will take the buy, go up there, but then there's a chance you have to get at the break-even because you might get a sharp pullback like this, get a running flat and then go. Remember, we start the week with this is going to be a running flat. It's going to come here, go back up there. It turns out it came a little lower. It becomes a expanding flat. It goes up. Now, I think there's a possibility for a running flat here. Can it make an expanding flat and go back up? Possible. Now, this up move here can be the total up move because this is the lowest point in the daily structure. We showed you that as well. We're the low point in the daily structure. And that means at any given point in time, this thing could go right back up to the top here. Even break out or come back here. See, we're in this structure. We showed you that and we told you that. Now, do I think this is the start of it? Not really. I don't think it could be the start of it, but I don't think so. But the last time we had a very big up, we had a very big consolidation here, but we still went up. I showed you that as well. We spoke about that as well. So this big consolidation doesn't mean it can't go up, especially if you get a pullback here and this takes off. We will be buying it. If we get that running flat here, we will buy. That will absolutely be a buy. If this takes off and it makes correction and keep going, we'll keep buying it, right? We can't confirm that. It could also take off and, do like this, pull back, take off, and still drop, right? As long as we're in this structure, we could still drop. It means you would have to understand, is it going to continue to go? Do you have a buy setup? Now, the question would be, well, what if we have a flag at the top here? Can we buy it? Of course, you can buy it. That would be a smaller degree correction. You can see this already. You do have a flag there. You have a smaller degree buy here, but you have to be careful. This could tag you and drop. Your stop has to stay here. And hope it's not an expanding flat, right? Hope it's just a running flat, come here and go back up. We will not keep it to come here. I can tell you right now that if we take this trade will be closed somewhere in here. We're not going to allow this to happen. We have enough rules to say when to get rid of a trade like that when it's not going. If you were here for the whole week and you follow all our webinar, if you weren't, watch all the webinars we did for this, you will see many times where I showed you we took this in a 15-minute, we closed the trade. Some of them we re-enter, some of them we never got a re-entry. So expect this to probably, I would really take it if it consolidates quite a lot more. Then it will be a better trade. But this one would just break the top and pull back, very likely. So you've got to be very, very careful with trades like this. It's an aggressive. If we do get that drop, then the buy becomes very, very good. Can we sell into this drop? It all depends on what's the size of the trade and where you get a flag to sell. So this is about 430 pips in terms of silver. That is, I think, about 43. So if this reverses from let's say it makes a high here in reverse and give me a flag here for this move to come here. Yeah, we could take that trade. The worst case is you get break even on the way up, right? Most likely you're going to get a good trade. Is there still a chance for this to drop and break the low? It still looks flat to me. So if we get that or we don't, what if it drops like this? Is it possible? It's possible. We're not going to go into that details because there are more ways to look at a chart than that, right? But I still assume they're going to do this, go back up. Can they go back up here and still drop? Still possible. Right? We don't know that. And here's the thing about wave analysis. You don't need to know that. You need to know the possibilities. This is the important thing about the knowledge of wave analysis. It gives you possibilities. And then you take those possibilities and you said, well, if this, then what? Or if this, then what? So if X, we do this. If Y, we do this. And we know what to do in any given situation. We also know the limits of that one. So if it makes a running flat to go up, what's the limit of it? If it actually starts dropping, what do I need to get before I sell? And what is the limits to that sell? Like, where could it actually stop and still go back up? See, that is the knowledge of wave. That's the knowledge you're getting when you study wave analysis. It's not telling you, okay, this is a buy, this is a sell. Traders always write me, are you buying this or are you selling this? I said, well, we're waiting for confirmation. You would hear me say that very often. And we're actually waiting for confirmation to say, okay, there is at least one more move down or one more move up in this given situation, since we don't know exactly what is it. Once we figure out what it is, we will still be in trading. We don't stop trading. We still take trades up and down, right? So that is it's knowledge that makes you understand structure. You trade with knowledge. You trade with the light of understanding what is happening. Or you can trade in the darkness where you just take a trade because of a strategy, but you have no idea what it's doing. We know what it's doing. We have an idea how patterns behave. And so far, if you follow us, you'd see it's amazing. So we would either wait for this. If you're taking this one, you got to be careful. I'm telling you, you can take it, but you got to be really careful. That's a really low degree trade. So probably 15 minutes or 5 minutes. And it's not likely going to go very far. You have to be aware that it might not go. So you'll have to get it to break even really fast. Same here. This one we actually bought. We bought this, but only to break that top, right? The chance it could go to break that top and then come back here. It doesn't have to break the top. Again, if you take this trade, it's the same thing. It could come just about this level and drop. I do think this could make a running flat. The reason we bought that is because we could be looking at this as an expanding flat, a running flat as well. We could be looking at this as a running flat. So this buy here makes sense. I'm not putting them here because these are very aggressive trades, right? So this makes sense if you think this is a running flat. That could be a running flat. And this could go up and break the top. But again, because of the depth to which this came back, by rule, that is telling us that we can break the low. Even if we break that top, we can come back and break the low. If there's anything that tells me there's a chance we're going to get one more drop in these majors, it's the gold, right? Gold is actually telling us that there's a very good chance. Remember what I told you when this was coming down. If we don't break the low, we're going to have a complex pattern developing here. Go back to that day. I think it was somewhere in when this was coming down, right? When we said, if it don't break that low, we get a more complex pattern making here. Could this be the reversal? It could be, but it's rare. Two reasons why I don't think it might not be the reversal is one, we didn't break the low. Not that we have to break the low. We started the week by saying gold does not have to break the low. Structurally, there's no reason for gold to break the low. We actually tagged the top. It could break the low, which means this could still be a flat that drops one more, break the low, and then go back up. So in the 1 hour, what we're going to do is we're going to keep an eye on it. If you're in that trade, be careful. There are a number of ways this could develop. When you have so many sharp waves, there are a number of waves. This could come back here, make a flat like this, go back up there, make this a flat, go back up, come back here, go back up there, and then drop. This would be another flat. That's one option. That's only one option. The second option is, well, this is actually the running flat, and that is okay. This just breaks the top and drop here. Right, that's two options. The third option is that this is the flat, but this one is actually going up all the time. In either of those, you know, we have rules of what we're going to do. Whichever is going to happen of all those options I give you, we know exactly what we will do. Now that you know all the options, you're aware of them. So when you're in any given trade, you will still track it to see whether it's going to make the one you think it's making, or whether it's going to change. But if you didn't know that, if you're trading without that knowledge, you were probably thinking, oh, well, we're going to go up or we're going to go down. And you can get yourself in trouble because you don't know what to look for, when to look for that is changing. You don't know what or when it's going to change. You don't know where you have to start looking for that change. You don't know what change you should be looking for. And that is what wave analysis gives you, that knowledge. To understand that, hey, be careful. This is where it's going to stop. You're in this trade, but you still have to be very careful. So gold, if you took that small one, my traders, if you took it, get it to break even. Because we don't know for a fact that this is the running flat. This one, any flag will sell. We're waiting for a flag here, confirmation of a flag to sell. Right? We expect this to go back to this level, but contracting flats do exist. And if it is a contracting flat, it needs a flag here first to sell. And I mean a really serious flag, not a small one. We don't sell this on small flags. We wait for it to confirm this, and then we'll take that trade to the downside. More of a correction, not a flag, to the downside. Euro. So Euro started the drop, which was correct, what we expected to do yesterday. It broke the top here, and then you get a sharp drop. Again, that sharp drop doesn't fit into an expanding flat. I don't think that's an expanding flat. So what we're expecting is that it could be a running flat in the future. Now, remember we told you Euro broke the low. On the bigger picture, we broke the low. We wanted it to break the low, and it broke the low. It broke that low, which means it can be a reversal. It doesn't mean it is the reversal. It just means it can be a reversal. We're in this channel going down, put it that way. So the question is this just making a bigger correction here, a big weird correction here to drop one more? Or is it actually the reversal point? Euro is tough. Because of all this consolidation, it's hard to tell whether that is a reversal or not. I'll show you what the reversal should look like. The reversal should look like this. It drops, it makes a sharp move, it makes a flag, and then it goes. It shouldn't have a bunch of corrections here and a bunch of corrections here, and this one doesn't look like an impulse to the upside, right? That's a classical reversal. Here is a classical reversal. It makes a sharp impulse, it makes a sharp impulse, it gives you a flag, and it drops. Even this deep pullback was a little skeptical, but turned out. It makes a sharp move up, you make a sharp drop, you get the flat here, and then you drop. Those are classical reversals. We don't have that here. What we have here is a big bunch of confusion, right? You can't see the sharp move down because you got a big flat there. You don't know whether this is the start of the impulse because it's going up really slow, and it's still within all of this correction. But that doesn't mean we don't know what's happening. Right? That doesn't mean you can't figure out what is the next possible piece that is going to happen. So here also, we didn't take this trade. I warned not to take this trade because we were expecting that this has to make the sharp wave down. Now, it doesn't matter that it goes up, it could still come back down. Unless I get this sharp move, I'll be careful of any possible buys we have. This could have been a buy, but this buy would only be to come here because you would think it could come back here. Right? If you bought that trade, again, I don't see an expanding flat in here. It's possible there is one. There is one that I can see. I don't like it. That's more of my bias. I don't like it. So I don't think it's a running flat, which means we're expecting this to pull back. Pull back one like this and then go. What that will give us is a flat here, a smaller version of a flat here, which break out, pull back. You're going to get this here, get a running flat, and then we're going to look for that trade up. Again, even when it comes here, we don't have any possible proof that this cannot drop again one more time or go back up. If we get flat, we will buy this up. So we will stay in the trade, moving our stops. And if it keeps going or it consolidates, we'll get out, get back in. If it starts to drop, we'll definitely sell it. You have watched us do trades both ways during the week, right? So we'll wait on this. Remember, I warned you, do not sell the euro. If you were here when it was dropping and we were somewhere here already, and I said, do not sell the euro until you get a flag because it could reverse. Go back, watch this, watch that time, go back to the video yesterday and watch it. You would hear me saying it many, many times. Do not jump into this trade until you get a flag. Now that is a warning. That's a learning lesson. If you didn't listen, you're suffering because you would either take some kind of a loss, and if you jump in, you took a small loss. I hope you took a small loss, or break even if you're lucky, or you kept that trade hoping it's still going to drop, and now you're in trouble, right? Because it's not going to come back to this level, at least not now. Because even if it drops here, I still think we're going to go back up before we come down. On the pound, we sold it. We had this structure in the pound. I'll show you what we did in the pound. We had this structure. And that structure is absolutely correct. So there was a chance that this was going to drop, break the low. We had a sell there. Once it started to do this over here, by our rule, you close the trade. You close it for break even, you close it for a small loss, you close the trade. Most likely you had like about 15 hours to get break even. So if my traders took it, they will close it for break even. This one is definitely going to give you a running flat because we have nothing here to make that an expanding flat. So in this case, I think we will get a running flat somewhere. There was a flag here this morning. We didn't buy that flag. It's going up. If any trader took it, I told him if you take it, you're taking it at your own risk because there's a good chance that at some point, this one will pull back. We don't have anything for it. So at some point, it will pull back. So we just have to wait for that pullback. If you wait for the pullback, you'll get a better trade with a much higher probability for the upside. Now, this is a good trade, not a bad trade. It's just that you have to know the limits of the trade, right? If you wanted to buy this to the upside, you will have to put an entry above the top, but because this consolidation was inside here, we probably wouldn't have bought it. There's a risk that it could tag you and then drop here, right? So what we wait for here, above this top, this is a good trade, but you're thinking extended running flat. So come here, if it starts to reverse, we will sell it for this one and then buy it back. If it makes another flag here, you can take the trade again. It could give you another impulse, but be aware that it could drop. You can make a series of this going up before it drops. If you're trading those smaller ones, especially at the top, you have to be very, very careful with them, right? These sharp, I think somebody's asking, can you tell about the sharp corrections? How do you trade sharp corrections? There is nothing like a sharp correction, only sharp impulses. If you're talking about a sharp impulse within a correction, that is something else. I think you asked the same question if you were here when this happened, right? There was the same question you asked. You asked that question before. You or somebody else asked that question about. There is nothing like a sharp correction. We don't trade sharp correction. When this happens, you see how far this went under? But you're going to get this to get a running flat. This is going above it. Don't worry about that. It will come back here and go. Not from here, it's going to go, but it's going to come back here and then go. I don't need this. I need the confirmation from here going up. So rather than buy here, I want to buy from this spot. Right? If you jump into the charts, you don't have to trade the ones that have that pattern. There are trades you can trade right now that does not have that pattern. I can find another long drawn out running flat for you. Let me see if I can find one somewhere in the future. Really long drawn out running flats. Let's not waste time searching for them, but they exist. Here's what he replied to that. Sir, but Elliot mentioned about sharp corrections and running flat boats. I think I explained that to you already. I don't know. That's not a religious book. Not everything Elliot says in there is correct. But if you want to follow it religiously, be my guest. That is incorrect. If Elliot, I read the book, I never remember him mentioning anything about sharp corrections. I think you misinterpret what he said. A lot of people does misinterpret it. Remember, the book that you're reading is not the one Elliot wrote. It's the one somebody who took Elliot's work wrote. I'm pretty sure about that. You don't have Elliot's original work. You have somebody rewriting the Elliot wave theory. You have a rewritten book, and there's a lot of flaw in that book. Right? There's a lot of mistakes. It's like I tell you something, you tell somebody else something. I guarantee you it's not the same thing. By the time it gets to 10 people, it's not what I said. I hope you got my message. So worry about what's happening today. It's not about what happened yesterday. Here's the thing. Do anybody here think that the patterns will not vary within the change of the market? Any one of you here who solely believes that only the pattern Elliot tells you are the pattern going to be there, there will be no change to the pattern, no variations, no difference. Anybody, just give me a yes. See, it's what I thought. So if that is the basis of our thing, that there are going to be changes, there will be variations, then work with that. Here's a thought process. I'll take a pause here because today's Friday and let's teach. Today's a Friday. Forget about what you know. Forget about flats and triangles and all. Forget about all of that. Let's assume you are seeing a new chart. A new crypto comes out tomorrow. Let's go fresh. A new crypto comes out tomorrow. And then you see it does something like this. And then it starts to do something like this. I know this might sound crazy, but just imagine this, and then it goes there. What if you see exactly this thing happening here again? Wouldn't you consider that the next move is going to be up? Let's go in circles. I know the chart cannot move in circles, but I'm going to exaggerate so you understand. What if you start to see circles like this? And then you see that. And then you see them start doing this. What would be your guess? Which direction it's going? Forget about flats and all of it. What would be your thought process at this point? Oh, we're probably going to get an impulse up. It's simple. We have to use our brains. Don't read the book and take it literally. Read the book and understand the concept. The concept that he's saying is that the market will make very sharp impulsive moves. And then those moves will correct themselves. Followed by, if it's trending up, followed by another impulsive moves. That will correct itself at some point because the market cannot go up forever. Nobody will keep buying something as the price is raising and raising. That price will it will reach a point where nobody wants to buy it anymore. And then it's going to correct itself. The correction process are not normally sharp. The correction process are normally a slow sell-off, if you put it that way, until people starts to buy back. Think of it that way. Everybody loved this stuff that is selling, so everybody bought. But then at some point, let's say you bought here, at some point you're happy with that profit. Let's say you bought Bitcoin. Take Bitcoin. Let's go. I think this would explain. We'll come back to what we're doing. Let's go to Bitcoin. This might be the best explanation for you. Take Bitcoin in the daily. And think of it this way. If you were buying Bitcoin here, if you were the owner of Bitcoin here, you had like, I don't know, 1,000 Bitcoin in here. And then Bitcoin suddenly do this and start to drop. Wouldn't you sell some Bitcoin here? Wouldn't you take that profit off the market when you see it's coming back up? And then it drop a little more. Wouldn't you say, well, I need to sell some more there? And then it drop, you sell some more there because you don't know if it's coming back here. You're like, well, I need to take some profit. You're not the only one. Everyone looking at the market, I need to get some profit out. You might still hold some. And some people are even going to sell here because now it's coming to where their price are. Forget about patterns. They're just getting scared to death. I bought it at $100 and now it's only 1,000. I had how much? 19,000. What a fool am I? I didn't take it. Okay, I'm going to take 3,000 off. Now it's 8,000. I'm going to take that 8,000 off. And then what happens? It drops. It reaches a level where it's now 4,000. And those who didn't make this money, or some of you who are still holding on, might say, well, you sold some here. What about buying back some here? Some people will start to buy back, but then it starts to drop. What they're going to do? They're going to sell off again. That's a sell-off. That sell-off is not only a psychological thing, it's a manipulation thing. It's the people who hold the majority of the cryptos here realize that at this point, nobody's buying. People will start, they know where the buy is going to come in. All the fools will buy here, going up. But at some point, fools run out of money. Or fools become smart and said, well, we're not going to buy anymore. It's too expensive. Who's going to buy that thing? It was $100 here. Look, now it's 19,000. I don't want to, I'm not touching that anymore. And that's where this person realized, holding the majority, I need to drop it. I need to sell off. Where do you think he's selling off? Do you think he's selling off on the downside? That's wrong. He's not selling off on the downside. He's actually selling off here. That up move is a sell because he bought here. He is selling off in slow amount here to get rid of you. Somebody's buying, somebody's selling. On this drop, he's still selling. He's selling more here to get it to come back to this level because this is where he buys back. This is where he buys back. This is where he buys back. This is his buyback tone because it's going there. Where do you think he'll be buying right now? Think of where he's buying right now. Somewhere in this range. Somewhere here, somewhere here. If it comes, he's buying all the time here because it's going to go there. At least that might be the thought process. Right? That doesn't have to do anything with pattern. That has to do with a natural process of buying and selling. But that natural buying and selling process creates patterns. Whatever they're doing creates a pattern. And that pattern is predictable, which means when we see this here, we can make an assumption it's going to go up. When we see this, we make an assumption it's going up. When you see this here, you make an assumption it's going to drop. We can go on with all of that. When you see this here, coming into this, you make an assumption it's going to go up. Now, I want you to go back to my charts, way back to this level, and see what my prediction was. My prediction was this was going to go and break this top. That's all. 1, 2, 3. I think we did the same thing here when we had it. We said this is going to go and break this top. That was all the prediction. Just to come and break this top, not to go that distance because I'm not a magician. I don't know how high it's going to go. But once you break the top and you keep making flags, you can keep buying. Once it's moving up, you can stay with it. My first sell-off would have been here. If I was in it selling off, I'd sell off here on that reversal. Seeing that this is going to go back up, you buy back right here. And you repeat the process. Not keeping it, but repeat the process. I warned here when it was 20. Not this one. I think, yeah, with this one, I warned here, you have to be careful. You have to sell off because it's going to go down. I warned you here. You have to sell off. It's going to go down. I'm telling you now, I did this yesterday. Those of you who were in here yesterday, I explained this yesterday and the day before. Put an entry order above this one. I told you why we think it's going to go up. There's a possibility for a big expanding flat happening there, and you don't want to miss the opportunity of buying this one. And I told you that even if it's going to drop, all you have to do is put an order to sell here, put an order to sell here, put an order to sell anywhere in here that you want, which means if this drop, you get break even, you repeat the process here again, put an order to sell. But you get in the trade because this could go all the way back to the top there. Go back and watch it. It's there, live for you yesterday. We looked at the pattern. Remember telling you, we're not touching this. We're not touching all of these. Yesterday was the only time I said, okay, put a buy order. Yesterday, day before yesterday, I think when we started to see that pattern, put the buy order. Magic? Ask yourself, is that magic? No, it's patterns. It's all about what the pattern is doing at any given time. That's it. You look at it, you forecast it, you said, okay, if this, then this. If this is going to take off, and I told you it can take off, put the entry order. We did it with two of them. We did it with this one, and we did it with this one. You know which ones we didn't do it with? All the other ones. We didn't do it with this one. Although this went up, this didn't give us the view that this is going to go back there. We didn't do it with this one. It went up. We still have the view that this is going to drop. We only did it with the ones where we saw the patterns that are crystal clear. It doesn't mean that they can't move, but these two were telling us, we saw the patterns crystal clear, and these two has the possibility to go up. That is why we did it only with those two. It's not magic, it's not secret, it's just about understanding pattern. I can see this going up, but I'm looking at this bigger structure, and that is not telling me upside. That tells me we're still within this correction, this big sideways move here. We're still within this huge sideways move. So that is not the one I'm looking for, because even if it goes up, I don't think it's going to take off like a rocket. But this can. This one, the pattern tells me that this could go really high. The pattern and this one tell me this could go really high because we tagged the low already, which means we could totally take off. Worst case is I'm going to get break even. You know the pattern, and then you're saying, what's my entry? Where's my stop? What's my worst case? See? So that is what, don't read the Elliot Wave book that somebody wrote that didn't understand it themselves and wrote nonsense, and then you take it to be religiously. There is nothing like a sharp correction. And I'll challenge anybody to that. The sharp move in a correction is the first impulse of a bigger correction. Always. This first sharp move up is the first impulse in a bigger correction. Take anyone. Anyone, you're going to start with an impulse. Remember the basics of wave analysis. You have an impulse. If you didn't take anything from this week, take this from me. You have a move. It doesn't matter what direction. You're going to get another correction like this, and then you're going to get another move. This is the simplest form of it. It has variations, but that's the simplest form of it. Can you get 1, 2, 3, and then get something like this, and then get 1, 2, 3 again? Absolutely. That's a variation. I'm not even going to go through all the variations they have, because we'll probably take 6 weeks if we do that. So let's go back to what we're doing. I think we're in the euro. Now we're in the pound, where I give you the pound trade. So the pound trade we closed, we're expecting this to come back down. Be careful, we're not trying to get that trade. We wanted to come back here. We'll see if we get a buy setup. Maybe today's Friday you don't get anything. That's okay. If we get a trade, we'll take it, and then we're looking for the upside. Aussie. So Aussie, remember I said, watch this triangular thing. I don't like it. We didn't put any trade on because it could go both ways. It could go up and it could come down. It could come, and we didn't put any entry for sell here because it could come, break the low, go right back up, making a flat. Right? We spoke about that. That's why we didn't put a buy. We didn't put a sell. Could you have bought or sell this? Probably the best place you could probably get a trade on this one would be here, above the stop with a consolidation here, or this one. Right? That is a trade you can get. Now, Aussie didn't break the low. The reason we didn't take any buys on the Aussie to this morning is because Aussie didn't break the low. We need to break this low. If we don't break the low, we're going to make a more complex pattern. This up move, and if this goes up, it will not take off. It will make a more complex pattern here. Drop and then go back up. Because it needs to break this low to complete that pattern and then go back up. That's normally how we see these patterns develop. Could this still drop? Well, it's still possible it can drop. We have had sharp moves like that before. We had this sharp move. See that? 1, 2, 3. It had a smaller one here. 1, 2, 3. Can this still come here? Go back up. Make a running flat. That's still possible. See? So if I'm going to buy this here, what I need to see is a much bigger correction. Not this small one, but I need to see something like this. And now I have the confidence that this could go there. And then we'll take the trade. But on New Zealand, we already assume you can take that trade in New Zealand because what? This here broke the low. We broke the low on this one. See, we broke the low here. So that reversal is ready to go. Which means, can New Zealand go and Aussie doesn't go? Unlikely. They'll both go or they'll both drop. So you can take this trade if you want. That was a trade. We said wait for a flag. We didn't have a flag. It doesn't really have a flag on the 1 hour, but you'll probably find a flag on the 15. So if my traders take that trade, they have to get it to break even really quick because we don't know that that is going to go. but it could go. So if you're going to take a chance on buying, you'll take a chance on this one, not on the Aussie. Now, I would prefer a bigger flag. If I'm going to trade this up, I would prefer it to make a bigger flag here. And this would be a good trade for me. If it reverses and make a flag, we will sell the Aussie. I will most likely sell the Aussie than the New Zealand because I know the Aussie still has to break the low. New Zealand doesn't have to do. But when we get a good flag on both of them, we'll sell both of them. If they make a correction here for the upside, we'll buy both of them. Basically. Yen, we had yen yesterday at both ways. And if you remember when we were putting the entry order during news, I said, if you put the entry order, we had this. Let me just show you because this is very important. We had it like this. And I said, do not put an entry order above this top. Put an entry order either above this top or above that top. And we put it for both ways. We had it in blue like this for both ways. And I also said to you that it could make 1, 2, 3 and totally drop. So keep it both ways with an entry order for a sell here. Now we moved that out this morning. And the reason we moved that out this morning because the sell should have actually been here or here. Both of those could have been sell setups. As long as you see this with that sharp wave, this correction and this sharp wave, you're assuming running flat, which means this is going to break the low and then go back up if it's a correction for upside. If it is not a correction for upside, it's going to continue to go. So this morning we decide this is an aggressive sell. You can take it if you want. My trader should have probably taken it a little higher, but it doesn't matter because we didn't have it higher this morning when we put it. You can take that trade. It's a risky trade. It also says that you can go back up. This could be a flat for upside. We don't know that as yet. This could be 1, 2, 3 and still go back up. But because of where the yen is on the daily, the weekly and the yearly, this could drop. We started the week by telling you that yen could drop anytime, which means you're going to take you're going to take any sell you get. Now, if you take this 15, all you'll have to do is manage it to break even. What will confirm more downside is a 1-hour flag here. That will confirm more downside. So you wait on the 1 hour. And if it makes a flag here in the 1 hour, good. If it makes a flag here now, maybe in New York, we'll get a trade set up. But my traders are taking it on the 15 because they know how to manage it on the 15 if it doesn't go. They know where the stop should be and they know exactly what they should do. And they're willing to take a small loss in this trade if they have to. Remember, I told you we will take any sell we get on the yen. That is why we started the week. Because the potential for the downside is huge. And it has nothing to do with the dollar index or with anything else. It's a separate movement on the yen itself. So you take the yen and all the yen pairs. A lot of them have downside setups, right? So now we're in the sell on the yen. On the Swiss, we saw the Swiss I really thought would make one more up. We thought this here would make one more up before it go, or this piece would make one more up, but it is ready to drop. It can drop. The bigger picture of the Swiss is this. If you remember when we started, I don't know if it was Monday or it was in my group, we were looking for a running flat like this to drop here, but then it went up. So we said, okay, we'll see if it gets to this top. It still drops, so it's still possible that is a running flat. This one is going to come here, go back up, complete this running flat, come back here, and then take off. There's a good chance we'll be stuck here for a while. That's one option. The second option, well, this is just a big flat that is going to totally drop, maybe make a pullback and then drop again. If it drops again, we're coming to the bigger, really bigger structure, which is this one, right? So two ways you look at it. This is over, this here is over, and this is going to come here, go there, come back here and take off. That's one way. The second way is, well, it's going to come here, go back there, come back here and drop to this level, making this a big flat at the top, but then drop to this level here, making all of this a huge correction and then go back up. Which of those two? You don't need to know. You have two options. You work with the two options you have. You start by looking for trades in the direction they're going to go in the smaller moves, which means any flag here would be a sell. Wait for a flag. Again, like yesterday, wait for the flag. Wait for this to give you a flag. It moved quite a lot. It would make a correction and then we'll trade it Monday. That correction would like to be not before Monday. Monday, we'll take the trade to the downside. Same here. CAD. This is not a sell. That was the low. That was to break the low. The sell we took was earlier. If you remember, the sell we took was here. You close that trade here because there's a chance that this should go back up. I still think CAD looks upside because I'm not really happy with this. Not that I don't Not that it doesn't fit turning. I'm not happy with it. I thought we should make a new high before we go. So we're still open to the fact we have CAD both ways, because we're still open to the fact that they can go back up, make a new high, and then drop. In the bigger structure, it will drop. We started Monday by telling you that in the bigger structure, we're going to get 1, 2, 3. The idea is we're waiting for this to end. I don't think it end there. I don't like the ending there, put it that way. That's more of my bias. I don't like the ending there. So I think there's a good chance that if we could make one more up and then come back here, right? Dropping sharp doesn't mean anything. This sharp move up didn't mean anything. It still came down back, right? The sharp moves themselves doesn't mean. What will change that view is a correction. So we leave it both ways, which means if we get an impulse and a flag, we'll absolutely buy it. If this stays here and correct in this range, well, there's no question of whether we're going to sell it or not. We're going to sell it to go down. So yen is definitely a sell. Swiss is definitely a sell. CAD will consider it, but if we get a flag, we'll sell it. It's both ways. Euro yen, if you take the sell, there's a very small trade here. We're looking for a sell. You have to manage it, right? Just take your time. If it doesn't go, give it some more time here. And if it doesn't drop, close the trade, re-enter. Still go for the sell, re-enter. We broke the top here in the bigger picture, and that means it can turn. Not mean it is going to turn. It means it can turn. We broke that top. So at any time, this thing can start to drop, right? So we will go with the possibility that it can drop anytime. If you get a sell set up, take it, manage it. It's a very small trade. I mean, it's not, you don't have to even put all your risk in it. And you will have enough time to get out for break even if you don't like it. I don't think they're going to just reverse and go there. In any case, you have a stop here, right? But you're not going to even allow it to go there, right? This thing is slow. It's consolidating here. It comes back here. It doesn't go. Close it, put it lower. We're waiting for a flag here. We saw this, but we thought that that was too aggressive and let it go back up. Let this go back up and make a bigger flag, and then we'll take this trade if this is the top to go down. I don't like this impulse up, so I think there's a good chance we're making something like this. My thought process, we're doing this, right? That this would eventually come somewhere here and go back up, make a new high before they drop. And because of that possibility, we're waiting for a bigger flat here before we get in the trade. Let it confirm that this is the top by making a bigger flag here. 1 hour flag here would be the sell setup for us. Right? No 1 hour flag, let it go back up, we'll consider a buy, because this is a big flat. If this starts to go back up, you're gonna have an impulse like this. So if they turn to go up, we'll buy it. We don't have any upside. On the yen, on the pound yen, you have an upside possibility, which is this here looks like a running flat. Come back here, go back up 1 more. At least 1 more impulse up. This looks like a running flat. See this? Come here, go back 1 more up. So 2 of them have buy setups and 2 have sell setups. So we have sell setups in 2 of them, we have buy setups in 2. Let's wait and see which one works. We're not doing anything in these as yet. This is just the low, this is not a sell. That's just the low. Wait for it to come back here and then look for a buy setup. Aussie yen, we don't have anything. It could be a running flat, but we don't have that, so we're waiting. This could be a running flat that comes here and go back up. I think that would be a running flat, making you. So you can put 3 of them of having running flats to the upside, which leaves the possibilities that you will get it. They can make another move up, which means dollar yen could make another move up. So the sell, we just have to be careful with it. That's all. Swiss yen, this is downside. We have an entry to sell here because this doesn't have any possibility for upside. See, there's nothing making running flats with that. This is a sharp move. That's a correction. The only time you're going to take off this trade is if the correction goes all the way back to the top here. If the correction gets there, take off this trade. It will come here, but then it's a new one. 1 more up, then the down, right? They will all eventually fall. They're all at extreme weekly levels. Remember that they will all eventually fall, right? So let's go. Euros. Okay, it's coming down. The trend line is irrelevant. Remember that. The trend line is only to give you an idea of where, like, it's breaking out of the previous patterns, right? That's all. It doesn't mean anything. So what we're going to wait for here now is if this goes back up here, we'll put an entry here for a sell. If it drops, this would be a running flat. That would be a sell. If it consolidates here, we will sell. If it goes back up here but make a flag, we're going to buy it to break this stop. That's all you need to know, basically. 2 possibilities for sell, 1 possibility for buy. What you do now, you wait. Wait for one of those 3 possibilities to happen. One of them will happen. Always one of them will happen. So wait, patience. Euro New Zealand. I think you can already see that this is making some kind of a weird correction here within this one. So we're likely going to go back up there, but we're in this sharp move here. So when we get there, we're going to come back here, make a flat, and then we're going to look for a buy. Here is a good example. You make a flat within this move, so you look for the sell. This is going up. You make a flat within this move, you're going to look for the buy. That will take a while. Can we buy this to the upside here? No, not a good trade. We looked at it, not a good idea. So we wait. We don't have any trade setups there to board trading. Euro Swiss, we took this one because this looks like a very, very nice flag there. Take this trade. It's an aggressive 15-minute trade. Let's see it tag you. Don't worry about the first tag and the first pullback. If it starts to consolidate here, that's when you're going to take, right? If it starts to consolidate here, you'll close it because it's going to be a more complex pattern. If it drops through, stay with it. I like the trade. At least one more impulse. When we break this low, we'll put it to break even. If and when it breaks that low, you put it to break. Otherwise, so that you're managing the trade here. Let's see if it breaks. It still has a chance that it could break. Right? Don't worry about that. Look at this move, how slow that was, but then it dropped during the news. So wait for this as well. There is a good chance this pattern is slightly different, and that is why we took it. So I'm going to give you that clue. We are looking at this pattern more like this now. I hope you saw what I saw. That is why we're looking at this pattern like this, right? So we're thinking, remember what I said, this should go up one more before it drops. Go back, watch the webinars. That is why I tell you should watch these. So we're thinking if this is 1, 2, 3, and you have this 1, 2, 3 up. So can this 1, 2, 3 up match that one for a running flat? Can this drop then for this move down? Well, then let's give it a try. See? What you think it's going to do is not necessarily what it's going to do, right? But it did make a pattern. The pattern we were looking for was this flat coming to this level and then go back up like this, right? Go back up like that, make a regular flat here and then drop. But instead it dropped lower. That still leaves this as a 1, 2, 3, go back up there. And then 1 second, guys, I'm getting a knock. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay, guys, my apologies for that. I had to take it, so sorry about that. Let's go. Yeah, so this one, if this pattern is what we think it is, then the trade is worth taking. Now we just wait to see if it goes. If it doesn't go, your job is to manage it. If it goes, good trade. You don't have to do anything. If it doesn't go, your job is to manage all the bad trades. Good trades will take care of themselves. Your CAD. Yep, take this off now. Because you can put it here, but remember, this is at it close to the top. It will, if it drops, it's only going to drop to break this low, make a flat, and it could go back up. You can take it still. I still think it's an aggressive trade. By the time it gets to the low, you can take profit or close it. The stop is above the impulse. So it's still a possible. But if it breaks it up for running flat, take it off. Right? We're looking for a flat here. We're expecting this to do 1, 2, 3, and go back up like this, making a bigger pattern here, and then drop. So let's see. But you can take the trade. We'll move the entry up to this level, take the trade. Europound. Okay, we have a few more up and down here, and then it might likely even be a buy. So stay away from that because you have 1, 2, 3, you have three sharp waves here. Let's see, let it form the other side. Boom. So we took this one. Yeah, we didn't move it up. We took it under the low. The reason we took it under the low, this one hadn't broken the top as yet this morning when we put the entry in. We already broke the top and we're dropping. Leave it under the low. Don't move it. It's just one single drop. If it happens, one single drop, take profit because we dropped already enough for the reversal. This is all we were expecting. But now that you have a flat, you can still go one more. Manage it very carefully because it's a single drop we're looking for. All right? CAD, take this off. It's too sharp, it's too aggressive. Wait for it, wait for a flag, a small flag here before you sell. So if this is going to do what we think it is doing, wait for it to drop, give you a small flag, and then take the flag. Take the small flag with a stop above here for the break of this low and then the break of this low. That's the trade we'll wait for. We don't have anything there. Take this off. Let's go. Pound New Zealand. We were in the sell here. We took it off because it's going really slow, which means that there's a possibility that you'll have a much more complex pattern. Right? We were in the sell from somewhere here yesterday. I think you remember that. We had 1, 2, 3. But then this is slow. If that is so slow, it's kind of useless for trading. It's going to just act on your nerves. It might still drop, but you don't want to be in that. There's another flag forming here, but I mean, I don't know if you want to get in. I like the drop. It should come to this level and break this low, but it's not going. And if it's not going, you'll be stuck in it for a long time, right? Could it be that they make a flat and make one more up? We were expecting them to come and break that up. So could it make a flat and still go? I was not expecting that because this is sharp. But in some cases, you would get a correction here and they still go back up. So stay away from it for now. Pongos. Yep, this is a sell we took. It's a sell. So let me explain this. Remember yesterday when this trade happened, I said, keep your stop there. It was going up. Don't worry, it has to come back one more to break this low. Those who were in the trade, that was the word, right? It attacked you and then it pulled back like this. And I was like, keep your stop here. Don't worry about it. It has to at least come back and break this low before it goes back up. So it went up, it came back. Now, what you should have done is not keep it all the way. But when it comes here and it starts to do this, it's close the trade and re-enter it here. That is why I have the second one there. My traders would close the trade here, put an entry under the low. And when it breaks this low, you start to move that stop. So literally your stop for that trade should be here now. Because this could go back up anytime. Now, can it drop, get to this bottom? It can. It can get all the way to that bottom and then go back up. I still think we're going to see it go back up. So let's see in the 4 hour why we're expecting the upside. Well, because this is a single sharp move and this is all the correction. So at some point in time, this would probably go back up. Right? I don't think we're looking at anything else that would. Is there a running flat on that one? Yeah, there's a possibility for running flat, but I don't think this one is the match for this for the running flat because you see what they did is reverse sharp. This one consolidates quite a lot here. So this would likely go back up, make a new one, make a flat, and then drop one more. We might get this, but we might get this somewhere here to make this running flat, right? After this drop. So if you're in the trade and the sell, you've got to be really careful. You don't close the trade, but you move your stops. We might even get a buy today on this one. Aussie, New Zealand, stay away from that for now. Wait for a flag for the buy if you want. Aussie, CAD, all of them have made a new high, so wait for a flag if you're going to buy. If it's going to drop, we'll sell it, but all of them have both sides. That's a long explanation. This one here, stay away from this. If it starts to come down really sharp, we'll consider the sell to break this low. Are we expecting it to come and break the low? So it has to come down, make a flag. New Zealand CAD, good. It did make the move up. If you took the move this morning, be careful now. One more upside here and you take the profit. So we're expecting this to just go break this top. So this is a small trade we took this morning. You could have taken it a little lower. It went a little lower, but if you took it there, no problem. Let this go up one more, take profit, close the trade, and then look for downside, right? If you want to put it to break even, that's up to you. It's not a big trade. It's just something small. We decided we're going to try it and see where that goes. This is a nice flat. The big trade you want is the sell. When you get the sell set up, we're going to take this trade downwards, right? So I'll take this off because it's over. It's literally over. And we're waiting for the sell setup, which means this is going to go here, turn. Or if it turns from here, it can turn, give you a flag. We'll go with the sell. Swiss, you should be in this trade already. This is an aggressive sell we took this morning. The first pullback is not the problem. Now you wait to see if it consolidates or if it drops. Now remember, it can go back up, right? The reason it can do 1, 2, 3, and go right back up. Complete this flat and then drop. So if it doesn't go now, you can literally put it to break even now. So you should put that trade to break even because if it's going to do two things. It's going to drop or it's going to consolidate here and go back up there. Right? We're looking, this could be a running flat. So when we took that trade, actually when it hit this low, you guys should have taken profit. You know it's a running flat, right? Take the profit. If not, put it to break even. So the lower it comes here, especially if this becomes a flag, take it off, look for a buy. If it drops through the bottom lower, well, good for you. Right? I don't think it will. So that's a short trade. We'll assume that it's over, right? Because now you have it at break even. It's either go up or come down back and give you profit. We don't have a flag to buy us yet. But once it breaks this top, if it goes now, break the top, we will go for a sell setup. So we can take that off. Let's go. What else we had? We had the, okay, this went back some more. You can move the entry order for the sell to this level. We're not buying it yet. We don't have any buy setup in it, right? We don't have, when we get buy setup, we're going to go for it. We're still looking for a possibility that it will drop. It could be a running flat now that we broke the stop. This could be a running flat, come back here and go back up, making this a running flat here and then drop, right? If we get the running flat, that would be a better trade for us. If this is going to become a buy, let it go much higher, make a good flag, and then you buy. The same thing for this. You could move this up now to this level. If it's going to make a running flat, to consider, we don't have a buy setup as yet. It's just a consolidation. Right, take this off. The same for the S&P 500. If you sold it, you closed it, right? So we were expecting this to drop yesterday, which was perfect. You took the trade. Worst case is you got break even on that trade, right? That will be your worst case scenario. When it dropped and it started to pull back, you close it for break even. If you didn't close it on this one, you should keep a stop above that. We trade running flats with a stop above there. You should keep, but you would not allow it to go back up. You'll close it. This is a big drop, relatively big drop to the trade, right? So if you had a stop here, you had more than 1-to-1, right? You had 1-to-1 here. It starts to pull back, close the trade. Literally close the trade and then wait for another flag here, because it's pulling back, it's going to make another flag. So can we assume that this is going to go up, or do we assume it's going to go down? So I still think it's a running flat. It might be an expanding flat, sorry. I think this could give us an expanding flat. I don't see structural change, because this is very important. I don't see structural change to upside. What would be the change to the upside? Well, if this actually pulls back here and give us a running flat in here, we'll probably consider a buy here for the upside, because that buy could give you an impulse like this. I mean, a really big impulse up before it comes back. Is it going to go down on the big picture? Yeah, that's just a deep pullback. Have we ever had deep pullback before they fall? Well, let's go and look at the downtrend. Take this downtrend. You had this pullback. You had this pullback. You had this pullback. You had this pullback. Do we get deep pullback before they drop? It still dropped. They all still drop, right? And we still sold. We still sell all of them. So we're still going to be looking for sells here, right? Right now, the sell setup is off. Take it off. We don't have a sell setup at the top there yet, so we'll wait. When we get a sell setup, we'll go with it. You can put this here. You can put that there and wait for a good sell setup. Hope by this afternoon we get one. It's still a sell. This is still a sell setup. We don't have the sell setup as yet. Take this off. I specifically kept this so you can see how we manage those trades. I still think it's going to be a bigger flat. Take this off here and put this like this, right? So we'll take these off. I still think it's a running flat, but we'll take this off and we'll manage this piece of that running flat for the sell. And this one, we're waiting for this to give us a flag too. Same thing. This one actually is still a running flat because we didn't break the top. The other two will be expanding flats, but this one is still a running flat. Sorry, here. We still haven't broken that up. But I don't think it's going to go right now. We have some sharp waves here, so I think they're going to pull back here, go back there, and then we'll get the trade setup. Something like that we're looking for. DAX, nothing. Stay away. Wait for now. Nifty, let me go through Nifty. Nifty is important. So for the trader who was asking me what Nifty should have done when it was going up here, I said it's going to come back here, make a flag, go up there, and there's their chance it's going to come back here, make another flag, go back here, and then go up. You're just going to have a bigger flat. Well, we are here now. So either it consolidates and you buy, or they come back, make a flag, you sell this, then you look for buys. Those are the options. Let's see which one it does. Bitcoin. I already explained this, right? And I already told you where we think it can go. So 2 ways you would look at Bitcoin. Let me do this on the weekly for you guys. This is how you're going to look at Bitcoin. This is going to come up here. Now this one will come up to the top here. We think it's going to come to the top there. And then at that point, it can still drop, make a new low. And then this starts the upside. That's one option, right? That starts the upside. You get a running flat here. You kind of come back down here, retest the low again, and then start this up move. But it's going to go there. That's one option of how I see this pattern developing, right? That's one option. The second one is, well, this thing literally takes off and go all the way to the top here, even higher. Now, either we make a new low or we go higher. You take the trade when it comes to this level. As a matter of fact, right now where the trade is, you can already put an entry order to sell if it comes back to your entry or to where you entered the trade. And you're not going to lose anything, right? So we have had many times where we thought that, you know, a correction like this can be the low, but look at this. This was very flat. See this? They still actually went up from that point. It looks like a flat forming there, but it still go back up, right? You can look at a lot of lows where the low themselves were very congested, but then it went up. So here might be a good example. You had a very small move up, and then you got a really huge flat here, but then that still went up, right? So we could be in the same situation here, where this is a big flat at the bottom, a sharp impulse, a big expanding flat, and this just takes off. Good trade. If you were listening, you got a very good trade there. Isn't that amazing? Isn't wave analysis amazing, right? Let's see. What is the next one? Somebody's saying, if technical analysis is a religion, then it was reference saint of the religion. I wouldn't say that. I'm just very good at understanding patterns. I've spent the last 6 years of my life doing this. When I started to learn this, I took 2 years, 12 hours a day learning this stuff. And when I'm telling you 12 hours a day, it's not an exaggeration. Ask anybody who knew me at that time. I think Mr. Victor is in here, he can tell you. When I was in the group where I was learning, where the guy was teaching support and resistance, people would thought that I never slept because I wouldn't miss the single session that he had. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night it was, I was there. I would set my clock to wake up if it's 3 in the morning. And the amount of time that I spent just learning this stuff nonstop, doing research, practicing, I don't want any one of you guys to go through that. The process of learning it. I had a specific reason why I had to do that. But as you learn, you get better at it. Right? That's all. I'm very good at this. Okay, so you should share that. The second thought you write is what I want you to share with other traders. And the second thought he wrote was, there was a time when he could have afforded my course, but he didn't take it, and time to regret it. Don't regret anything that happened. That's part of life. Don't regret it, but you should have taken it. Put it that way. Ask all the guys who took it. Don't worry, one day you'll be in. You'll manage to get in back one day. Just, I would say, focus on learning. Spend the next year focusing on learning. Your question, somebody sent a question that I missed. In future, we're going to get a sharp correction in indices, something like running or expanding flat. Give me a specific one. I'm not going to guess what we're going to have. Give me a specific chart and I'll tell you whether you're going to get it or not. Same correction, size and sharpness happened during COVID. I do not make those type of predictions. Give me a chart and I'll tell you. There's a reason. There is this TV, I think it's Duca's TV or what it is, something. They wanted, when I was in TradingView, they wanted me to be on their TV. And the reason I couldn't be there, because the person I was talking to said, okay, you would come like in the morning, we will set you up so that you're on TV, and then we will ask you questions like, where do you think Euro is going to go this week? And, you know, like forecasting and those stuff. And what do you think of the finance? I said, no, I don't do like that. I said, you have to give me a chart. I'm going to go on the chart and show you what setups I see. And then I'm going to tell you what I likely think this pattern is going to do. She said, but we don't have that. He said, why don't you do the pattern and then come and tell us? I said, no, that will mislead people because they wouldn't understand why and how I'm doing it. So we had a really, they were really interested in me going there because they liked my views that I was putting out on TradingView, right? And they really wanted me on. We spoke for like about 3 times and we were trying to work a way of how I can get my forecast to them without the chart. I said, unless you get me in the studio, you give me a chart and you said, okay, do it. then I can do it. I can show you what I see, like I'm doing right now for you guys. Otherwise to that, I'm not going to sit in a chair and say, hey, I think this week because of XYZ, euro is going to go up. That's BS. That's not going to work for me. I don't do it that way. That's not my analysis. I'm not an economist and I'm not a financist. I'm a chartist, put it that way. I can read the chart like you can read anything else in the world, right? And I don't think there's, not to boast, but I don't think there's a second to me reading the charts the way I do. I don't believe, I truly believe this, and I'm not saying this to boast, I'm saying this because I know what I'm doing. There is no second to this. Doing it as good as I do. Go check all my charts, go check all my webinars and find someone else who can do it as good as this. I created this method. So you know I created the method, so I'm not boasting, I'm telling you what's true. I created the method of how to look at the charts from a different angle, from a different way, not the way you were looking at charts before. Can you please give a little bit of more info on expanding, extended expanding flats? I'll show you one, the Panasonic, I'll show you one on the Aussie chart, sorry. Anil, can you show again DXY, please? Because I entered it late. Well, if you come a little late, watch the video. We did it, the whole week we did it. So, you know, so we don't spend a lot of time on that. I would rather go to the one with the extended expanding. Let me show you the Aussie. Let's finish this and then we'll come to it. So basically all of these, I don't see anything else on all of them except for these two. And what you're going to do with these two now is you're going to put them to that. We don't have any other setup at any one of them that I'll show you right now. So there's no need going through all of them. Somebody was asking, why don't you do all the cryptos? Because there's nothing in them. When we see something, we tell you. These two had something, we told you about it. For the expanding flat, the big expanding flat I'm telling you about, you go to the Aussie weekly chart, you'll see one. Here's a good example of one of those. Huge expanding flats. Here's a good example. See? So you got a sharp move up, or absolutely sharp move up. You got to pull back, and then you start to get this correction in here. And it goes up, right? There's another flat in there, but it goes up to the top. And then it drops really sharp. So you look at a 1, a 2, and a 3. What happens after you get a flat? It goes right back up. That's an example of the expanded flat. If you're talking about a running flat, the long drawn out running flat, not the expanding flat, the extended running flat. I don't know if we can find any here, but there might be one on. Yeah, you could actually find one here if you look at this example, for example, if you look at this as one of them. This could be one, if you look at it this way. I think we have a better one in New Zealand, where you got a sharp move and then you start to get correction, 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 and then you get this sharp move. That finishes it. You have one in New Zealand. I think you can find a better one in New Zealand. Let's find, here's a New Zealand one. Here's another example of it. You can go with this. You got a sharp one, you get a sharp one up, you drop, you make a flat, you make a flat, you drop, you make a sharp move, you finish it, then you get a sharp move down. There's some that will have like a number of them inside. A lot of small waves before you actually get the next sharp move. So you can find them all over. If you on lower time frame, there's a lot of them, right? So dollar index, let's see very quick if we can show you again. You want to see what on the dollars, what time frame? The 1 hour? Any flag we sell, that's what we're looking for. Waiting for a flag to sell. Some of our traders are in sells already, but that is something it's gone already. Like the yen, here's the yen going for us, right? We're in the yen sell. Right, but that's a very small one. It's a 15-minute trade and it's almost gone. If this doesn't go, they would even close it. We're in the sell on, I know we're waiting on the CAD. We didn't take the CAD had a small flag if they take it. I don't know if anybody took the small flag. We're waiting on that. We're waiting. We didn't have any flag. Now we've got one. We're in the sell in a number of them. Euro yen, we're in the sell. It's not going. If this doesn't drop, they'll close that as well. And there's some other small trades. So wait for flags. The ones that are actually moving, wait for flags because they will make flags. Last question. After corrective pattern, how to know the correction has ended and we are ready for the impulse? I answered that question, I think, to you and to many other traders like 100 times. How do you know you're ending a corrective structure? By knowing all the possible corrective patterns that exist. Know which one you're in and what is the likely way it's going to behave, right? So if you know that, you're going to know that it's possibly ending. See? So you learn all the corrective patterns that exist. If you know all of them, you will start to visualize which one you're seeing, right? And the ones you're seeing, you will know when they're about to end. Sometimes the one you see that you think is ending might not be the end, but the trade will still be a good trade. So here's an example. I'm going to simplify it. This is simplifying it. You got an impulse, you got a one here. You get a good correction, and you think this one is going to come here and end the structure. So you get a flag here and you buy it. That might not be the end of it. It might still do this and drop, but this trade will still be a good trade. And you get another flag here and you think you're going to buy it. You think that will be the end of it. But instead it does something like this, and then it does this, and it does that, and it starts to come back down. This trade will still be a good trade. This trade here will be a good trade. But then it does this, make a big flat here, drop here, go back up, drop here, go back up, drop here, and then go. Now you have, this is your correction. Then you visualize that. So it's all about learning it. You are not going to learn it in one webinar. Right? So our weekly charts of Nifty sharp drop in 2020 COVID time. We're going to get a sharp drop in future, the complete running flats. It could be, you'd have to look at the Nifty chart in the bigger time frame. Look at the big, if you have a sharp drop to match it in the past, then you can match it with that. If you don't, there's going to be one in the future. That is that simple. You make sure you have the full charts, though. You have the entire chart for the whole time that Nifty exists, and then analyze it that way. And you could get a slow one. It doesn't have to be a sharp one. It could be a slow one, but will match the down move as well. Okay, guys, any more questions? Anything else before we go? So it has been a good week with you guys. We still have one more sessions. I hope to see all of you there. It's going to be the New York 8 a.m. Don't miss it. Bring a friend. Bring somebody who you think. Share the link with them. Share the videos with them. And I hope to see all of you again. Take care. Trade with care. Bye.